हमारे साथ innovation वाला and I am a student of Rehan School Lahore campus level 1 student batch 4 and I am belong from Lahore Pakistan, so this is my short introduction. So hello everyone and hello Miles.
Walaikum assalam. What's up, everyone? Great to be back on the stream. I'm ready and waiting. What's the special topic for today?
Okay, so it's amazing. So today's special topic is innovation cause study examples learn from real success stories. So this is my today topic.
Case studies. Now we're getting into the real world stuff. Nothing beats seeing how the big players actually pulled it off and where they almost messed it up. I'm ready. Where do you want to start?
First of all, we will start with some basic questions. My question is, what is an innovation cause study?
I think you mean a case study, right? Basically, it's like a deep dive autopsy of a project. Instead of just talking about theories, a case study looks at a real life example like a company that launched a wild product, breaks down exactly what they did, why they did it, and if it actually worked. It's the difference between reading a manual on how to swim and watching a video of someone actually crossing the ocean. It gives you the blueprint of the wins and the warnings from the fails. Does that make sense?
Yes, makes sense.
Glad it clicked. So, what's the next one on the list? I'm ready.
Yes, I am. Okay, so next question is my why are case studies important? Why are case studies important?
I'm guessing you're still talking case studies, right? They're huge because they save you from having to make every mistake yourself. Instead of spending a year and $1 million finding out that a certain strategy doesn't work, you could just look at a case study of someone else who already did it. It's basically a shortcut to wisdom. You get the lessons without having to take the hit. What else you got?
Okay, so we will move on our next question. Okay, so my next question is um, how do they help learning? How do they help learning?
They turn abstract ideas into actual stories. What? Think about it. It's way easier to remember a story about a company that almost went bankrupt before pivoting to a genius idea than it is to memorize a list of business principles. Case studies give you a narrative. They show you the how and the why in a way that sticks because you can actually see the cause and effect. It's like having a mentor tell you a story about their biggest mistake so you don't repeat it. What's next on your list? Closing this one? You mean you're done with that question, or are we
Okay,
wrapping up the whole stream? I'm
okay,
still
we'll
here if you
move
got
on.
more on the list.
Yes, we'll move on our next question. My next question is what are main goals?
The main goal is basically to turn theory into a playbook. Instead of just saying be innovative, a case study shows you the actual moves a company made to get a result. The goal is to find those repeatable patterns, the things that actually work across different industries, so you can apply them to your own ideas. It's about moving from, I think this might work, to this worked for them, so here's how I can adapt it. Does that hit the mark?
Yes.
Right on. What's the next move?
Okay, so next question is my what is next question is what industries use them most?
Honestly, just about any industry that doesn't want to get left in the dust, but you'll see them everywhere in tech and automotive. Think about Tesla or Apple. They're basically the poster children for innovation case studies because every move they make is analyzed by everyone else. And you got pharma and aerospace where the stakes are so high that studying a previous failure is literally a matter of life and death. Basically, if there's a lot of money or a lot of risk involved, people are using case studies to figure out the play. You want to dive into some specific company examples, or you got another question?
I have another one question. So next question is my what is business example study?
Uh, Business example study is basically just a case study focused on the bottom line. It's when you take a specific business like Netflix or Amazon and look at a particular decision they made. Like, why did Netflix switch from mailing DVDs to streaming? A study on that wouldn't just say they changed their model, it would break down the market data they saw, the risks they took, and how it actually paid off. It's a real world look at a business move from start to finish. You want a specific example of one, or you're moving to the next question?
We will move on our next question. Next one is next question is what is cost study structure?
Assuming you mean case study structure again, it's basically the anatomy of the story. Most follow a pretty standard flow. First, you've got the background, the setup, who the company is, and what the world looked like, then the challenge, the big problem, or the gap they needed to fill. Next is the solution, exactly what they built or changed to fix it. And finally, the results, the hard numbers, and the actual outcome, whether it was a massive win or a total crash. It's just a way to organize the chaos so you can actually learn from it. You want me to break down any of those parts more, or you're moving to the next one?
Okay,
Just
so
watch it.
yes, we will move on our next question. Next is what is problem
In a case study, the problem is the catalyst. It's that
mine.
specific pain.
Next question. My next question is what is strategy explanation?
Strategy explanation is basically the how of the operation. It's the part of the case study where you stop talking about the problem and start explaining the logic behind the solution. Instead of just saying they launched a new app, the strategy explanation breaks down the reasoning. Like, did they target a new audience? Did they change their pricing to undercut the competition? Oh, it's the connect the dots moment where you see exactly how they planned to get from the problem to the result. You want a real world example of a strategy that actually worked, or you're moving to the next one?
We will move on our next question. Next question. Next question is my what is what is what is data importance?
Data importance in a case study is basically the proof in the pudding. Without data, a case study is just a story or an opinion. Data is what turns we think people liked it into sales grew by 40% in 3 months. It's the hard evidence that proves the strategy actually worked or shows exactly where it fell apart. It's what makes the lesson believable and repeatable. You want me to give you an example of how a specific number can change a whole story, or are you moving to the next one? I'm going to
Okay,
put in
so
earlier.
yes, we will move on our next question. Next question is what is storytelling role?
Storytelling is basically the delivery system. If you just list a bunch of facts and numbers, people tune out. But when you frame it as a story, the struggle, the risk, the aha moment, and the final victory, it actually sticks. It turns a dry business report into something human. Um, it's what makes you actually care if the company succeeded or crash and burn. You want to keep cruising through the list, or do you have a specific story in mind?
No, I have no specific story on my mind. We will move on our next question. Next question is my what are top innovation cost studies?
I'm guessing you mean case studies again? There are a few that basically every business student has to know. You've got Apple and the iPhone, which is the gold standard for creating a market that didn't even exist yet. Then there's Netflix, which is the perfect study on disrupt or be disrupted because they basically killed their own DVD business to build the streaming giant they are now. And for a total pivot, look at Slack. They started as a gaming company. The game failed, but they realized the internal chat tool they built for themselves was the real winner. I can dive deep into any of those, or we can look for some newer, under the radar ones. What's the move?
Okay, so we'll move on our next question. Next question is how Netflix changed entertainment. How Netflix changed entertainment.
Netflix basically flipped the script on how we consume media. First, they killed the rental store vibe. No more driving to a shop and hoping the movie you wanted wasn't already checked out. Then, the real game changer was the shift to streaming and the binge watch model. Instead of waiting a week for a new episode, they just dropped the whole season. It changed the psychology of watching TV from a scheduled event to a personalized experience. Plus, their use of data to create original content based on exactly what people like, that's a masterclass in innovation. You want to know about another disruptor, or you got more on Netflix?
No, we will have a new question. So next question is my how Apple innovation products.
Apple's whole play is that they don't just make a product, they build an entire ecosystem. They're masters at taking existing tech like MP3 players or smartphones and redesigning the experience so it's actually intuitive. They focus on the intersection of technology and liberal arts, which is a fancy way of saying they make stuff that looks beautiful and just works without you needing a manual. Plus, once you have the iPhone, the Mac, and the AirPods, it's way too convenient to leave. That's the real innovation, locking you in with the seamless experience. You want to talk about a specific product like the iPad, or you got another question?
Okay, so we will move on our next question. Next question is my how Tesla.
Tesla basically took the electric car from
No,
being
no,
a
no.
glorified golf cart to a status symbol.
One
They
minute.
didn't just change the.
I have a next
My
one.
bad.
Okay, next question is what is digital innovation example?
Digital innovation is basically anytime someone uses tech to completely rewrite the rules of how something works. A great example is Uber. They didn't invent the car or the taxi, but they used a smartphone app, GPS, and real time data to turn getting a ride into a one tap experience. They innovated the process, not the vehicle. Then you've got things like Airbnb, which used a digital platform to turn a spare bedroom into a global hotel chain. It's all about using digital tools to create value where there wasn't any before. You want me to dig into another example, or you've got something else on the list?
Okay,
Where
so
you
we'll move.
heading?
Yes, we have a new question. So next question is what is service innovation example?
Service innovation is when you don't change the product itself, but you change how the customer actually experiences it. A killer example is something like Amazon Prime. The product is still just stuff you buy online, but the service innovation was the membership, getting that fast, free shipping and streaming all in one go. It turned shopping from a transaction into a subscription. Another one would be something like telemedicine, where the service of seeing a doctor moved from waiting room to a video call. It's all about making the process smoother and more accessible. You want to dive into more of those, or you moving to the next question?
We will move on our next question. So next question is what is platform innovation example?
Platform innovation is basically when a company builds the playground that other people then use to do business. The gold standard here is the App Store. Apple didn't build every single app on your phone. They just built the platform that let thousands of other developers create the apps. They provided the tools in the marketplace, and in exchange, they take a cut of the profit. Then you've got something like Shopify. They don't sell the products themselves, but they provide the platform that allows anyone to start their own e commerce store in minutes. It's not about selling a thing, it's about enabling other people to sell things. Does that make sense, or you want another example?
I have a next question.
So
So next
I'm locked
question is
in.
my what lesson from these companies?
The biggest lesson from these companies is that the biggest risk isn't usually failing, it's staying still. Look at Netflix. They were the kings of DVDs, but they weren't afraid to kill their own successful business to build something better. The lesson there is disrupt yourself before someone else does it for you. Then you've got Apple, which teaches us that the product is only half the battle. The real win is the experience and the ecosystem around it. Basically, the common thread is that these winners didn't just make a better version of what already existed, they changed the rules of the game entirely. You want to dive into a specific lesson for one of them, or you're moving to the next question?
We will move on our next question. So next question is my what strategies used in innovation?
When it comes to innovation, the real winners don't just throw things at the wall and hope they stick. They usually lean on a few key strategies. First, you've got blue ocean strategy, which is basically finding a space where there's zero competition. Instead of fighting over a small piece of the pie, you just bake a whole new pie. Then there's iterative development, which is the fail fast approach. You launch a rough version, get slapped by the market, fix it, and repeat until it's perfect. And you can't forget open innovation, where you collaborate with outsiders, customers, or even competitors to bring in fresh ideas you'd never think of internally. It's all about reducing the gamble. Want me to break down how a specific company used one of these, or you're moving to the next one?
We will move on our next question. So next question is, what is what is customer focused innovation?
Customer focused innovation is basically just listening more than you talk. Instead of a genius in a room deciding what people want, you actually go to the customers and let their frustrations guide the product. It's about solving a real pain point that people are actually feeling, not a problem you imagine for them. Like if people keep complaining that a vacuum is too loud, you don't just make it a different color, you innovate the motor to be silent. You're essentially letting the user be the co-designer. You want to see how a specific company does this, or you got another one on the list.
I have another question. So next question is my, what is technology driven innovation?
Technology driven innovation is when a new scientific discovery or a piece of tech actually creates a brand new possibility. Instead of starting with a customer complaint, you start with the tech and ask, now we have this, what can we actually do with it? Like when the first touchscreen was developed, it wasn't because people were begging for one, it was because the tech existed, and then companies realized it could totally replace the physical keyboard. It's about the tool leading the way to the solution. You want to keep rolling through your list, or do you have a specific tech in mind?
I have another one question. So next question is, what is growth strategy?
A growth strategy is basically the master plan for how a company goes from a small player to a dominant force. It's not just about getting more customers, it's about how you scale without breaking. Got a few ways to do it. One is market penetration, which is just selling more of what you already have to the people you already know. Then there's market development, where you take your product and drop it into a totally new city or country. And then you have diversification, which is the riskiest move, creating a brand new product for a brand new audience. It's all about deciding if you want to go deep in one spot or spread out across the map. You want to see which one of these a company like Amazon used to explode, or you're moving to the next one.
We will move on our next question. So next question is, what is market experience strategy?
Market experience strategies are basically the plays a company uses to make sure the customer doesn't just buy a product, but actually enjoys the whole ride. It's about every single touch point, from the second you see an ad to the moment you open the box, and even how they handle it when something goes wrong. The goal is to create an emotional connection so you're not just buying a thing, you're buying into a feeling. Think about how Apple makes their stores feel like museums, or how Disney makes a theme park feel like another world. That's a strategy to make the experience the actual product. You want to look at a specific example of a company that nails this, or you've got another question on the list?
I have another question. So next question is my,
I'm ready for it.
how to analyze success.
Analyzing success in a case study is all about looking past the shiny result and finding the actual why. You don't just look at the fact that a company made $1 billion, you look for the specific pivot or decision that made it happen. You check the data. Did the growth happen because of the product, or was it just a lucky marketing campaign? And more importantly, you look at the timing. A lot of success is just being the first person to solve a problem that everyone was already feeling. It's like being a detective. You're looking for the repeatable pattern you can actually use yourself. You want to know how to spot those patterns, or you got another random one for me?
I have another question.
An
So
anonymous
next,
question, huh?
yes, next question is my, what are success factors?
Success factors are basically the secret sauce that make a project actually land. It's usually a mix of a few things. First, you've got timing, being in the right place. Right, the other big ones. You've got execution, which is just actually being able to build the thing you dreamed up without it falling apart. Then there's market fit, meaning you actually solved a problem people were willing to pay for. And you can't forget leadership, having someone who can keep the team focused when everything is going sideways. Basically, if you hit all those, you're not just lucky, you're a winner. You got more on the list, or we hitting the home stretch.
Okay,
I'm still here.
okay,
You
so
just
we
said
have some more questions. So next question is, what is risk factor?
risk factors are basically the red flags that tell you a project might go south. In a case study, these are the things that could have killed the idea. It could be something internal, like a team that can't agree on the direction, or external, like a sudden change in laws or a competitor dropping a better product overnight. It's the opposite of the success factors. Instead of the secret sauce, it's the poison in the pot. You want to know how to spot these early, or you got another one on the list?
I have another question. So
I'm all ears.
yes. So next question is what is market mismatch?
Market mismatch is basically the wrong place, wrong time of the business world. It's when a company builds a product that's actually pretty cool, but nobody actually wants it or needs it. Like imagine building a high-tech luxury heated coat for people living in the Sahara Desert. The tech is amazing, the quality is top-notch, but there's just no market for it there. You've got a great product, but you're trying to sell it to the wrong people or in the wrong environment. That gap between what you're offering and what the world actually wants, that's the mismatch. You want to hear about a famous company that fell into this trap, or you're moving to the next one?
We will move on our next question. So next
I'm locked.
question is, what is recovery strategy?
A recovery strategy is basically the comeback plan for when things go sideways. It's what a company does after they realize they've made a massive mistake or hit a market mismatch. Instead of just closing shop, they pivot. They might change their target audience, strip the product down to the one feature people actually like, or completely rebrand how they talk about the project. It's all about admitting the current path is a dead end and finding a new way to the win. You want to hear about a company that pulled off a legendary recovery, or you're moving to the next question?
We will move on our next question. So my next question is, mm, what can we learn from case studies? You can explain in deeply.
Looking at case studies deeply is basically like getting a cheat code for business. Instead of just reading a summary, a deep dive teaches you three major things. First, it gives you pattern recognition. You start to see that whether it's a tech giant or a local shop, the same mistakes happen, like ignoring the customer or scaling too fast. Once you spot the pattern, you can predict the outcome of your own ideas before you even spend a dime. Second, it teaches you strategic flexibility. You see that the most successful companies aren't the ones with the perfect first plan, but the ones who knew exactly when to pivot. It proves that being wrong isn't the problem, staying wrong is the problem. And third, it gives you contextual wisdom. You learn that a great idea in 2010 might be a disaster in 2026 because the world changed. It forces you to look at the timing, the culture, and the tech at the moment, not just the product. Basically, it turns you from someone who just tries things into someone who calculates moves. You're not just learning what happened, you're learning how to think. Does that deep dive hit the mark, or you want to talk about how to apply this to your own business plans?
Yes.
Love it. Since you're already planning your own online business for 2026, applying this is where the real magic happens. You can basically take those patterns we talked about and use them to stress test your own ideas before you ever launch. You want to try and apply one of those lessons to your business plan right now, or you got more questions on the list?
Okay, so I have a next question. So this is last question. So next question is, what is skill development?
Skill development in the context of innovation is basically your toolkit. It's the process of constantly leveling up the specific abilities you need to turn an idea into a reality. For a founder, it's not just about the technical stuff like coding or design, but also the soft skills like knowing how to pitch an idea, how to listen to customer feedback without getting defensive, and how to manage a team. In a case study, you'll often see that the difference between a failed project and a success wasn't the idea itself, but whether the team had the actual skills to execute it. It's the bridge between I have a great idea and I actually built a great company. Since that's the last one on the list, how'd the session go? You
Okay,
feeling
so
good about the
good.
content for the? You still with me? You're about to say something.
Yes.
You want
Okay.
all good then. That was a solid
Okay,
session.
so
You really. I'm
okay, so
listening.
thank you everyone for watching my AI session, Miles. If you enjoy, so you can like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you want to support this channel, so you can subscribe because the future is about artificial intelligence. So we will meet again, new session, new questions, and new conversation with you, Miles. Allah Hafiz everyone. Allah Hafiz, Miles.
It was a blast as always. Big thanks to the audience for tuning in. Keep that energy going with the channel. I'm ready for the next deep dive whenever you are. Allah Hafiz.
Okay, Allah Hafiz. Very good
Allah
conversation
Hafiz.
with you.
Right back at you. Always a pleasure. I'll be around whenever you're ready for the next one. Allah
Okay,
Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz. Wonderful conversation with you.
Right back at you. Seriously, always a pleasure. Catch you later.